Have you ever imagined that women's prisons could be just as terrifying as men's? While most headlines focus on male inmates, the world's female prisons hide their own shocking stories. Overcrowding, torture, corruption, and violence make them places of nightmares. Today we count down the 10 most dangerous women's prisons on Earth. Prepare yourself. The truth is darker than you think. Banha Female Prison, Egypt, 2000s present. Banha Female Prison in Egypt has long been a name synonymous with despair, but it was in the early 2000s that its conditions began drawing international concern. Cells designed for a few women are jammed with several times that number, forcing inmates to sleep on concrete or share tattered mattresses. In the blistering summer heat, poor ventilation turns these overcrowded spaces into suffocating ovens. Hygiene is nearly absent. Clean water is scarce, medical care minimal, and diseases spread unchecked. Family visits, a critical lifeline, are heavily restricted, often used by guards as punishment. Human rights reports describe beatings, interrogations, and weeks of solitary confinement. Mothers separated from children suffer an additional torment that deepens the psychological scars. Banha is not rehabilitation. It is survival in its bleakest form, stripping women of dignity and hope, leaving only a relentless struggle to endure. Chowchilla Prison, California, 1980s, present. Opened in 1991, the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla quickly gained a reputation as one of the toughest women's prisons in the United States. Today it houses more than 3,500 inmates, making it the largest women's prison in the world. But its size is not the most terrifying part. Violence is. Chowchilla is notorious for rampant gang activity and constant clashes between inmates. Guards, overwhelmed or indifferent, are often accused of turning a blind eye. This creates a brutal, survival of the fittest environment where strength and alliances determine safety. Life inside is a daily gamble. Assaults are common, intimidation is routine, and fear is constant. For many women, even simple routines, eating, showering, walking the yard, carry the threat of sudden attack. Behind its walls, Chowchilla is less a correctional facility and more a battlefield. The law of the jungle rules here, making it one of the most dangerous places a woman can serve time in the United States. Puli Charki Prison, Afghanistan, 1970s, present. Built in the 1970s on the outskirts of Kabul, Puli Charki Prison has long been Afghanistan's most feared correctional facility. While its men's wing is infamous, the women's section carries its own horrors. Overcrowding is severe and food shortages are constant. Inmates speak of hunger as a daily companion, with meals so meager that survival itself becomes uncertain. Medical care is virtually non-existent, turning treatable illnesses into life-threatening conditions. Isolation is another weapon used here. Women are reportedly locked in solitary confinement for weeks at a time, a form of psychological torture that leaves even the strongest broken. Silence hangs heavy in its corridors, an oppressive reminder of lost freedom. The prison cemetery tells its own grim story. Graves continue to expand, hinting at a death rate officials never confirm. Between the neglect, the abuse, and the despair, Puli Charki is more than a prison. It is a shadowed world where punishment extends far beyond the sentence, a place where survival itself becomes the ultimate battle. Tihar Jail, India, 1957, present. Established in 1957 in New Delhi, Tihar Jail is the largest prison complex in South Asia. While it houses both men and women, the conditions for female inmates are particularly alarming. Designed for far fewer, the prison today holds nearly 17,000 inmates, almost 3 times its intended capacity. Overcrowding fuels constant tension. Violence and assaults are common, and extortion has become part of daily prison life. For many women, survival depends not on rehabilitation but on navigating a dangerous underworld inside the walls. Corruption deepens the misery. Guards have been accused of smuggling contraband for bribes, while countless prisoners languish for years awaiting trial. This legal limbo traps women in endless uncertainty, stripping away their sense of justice. The environment is so toxic that inmates often describe Tihar not as a correctional institution but as a graveyard of forgotten souls. For its female population, the jail represents not just confinement, but a relentless erosion of hope, dignity, and safety. Black Dolphin Prison, Russia, 18th century, present. Black Dolphin Prison, located near the Kazakhstan border, dates back to the 18th century. Today, it stands as one of Russia's most notorious maximum security facilities. While primarily housing male offenders, the women held here endure the same relentless regime of control and psychological torment. This prison is reserved for the most dangerous criminals, murderers, terrorists, and serial offenders. Inmates live under conditions designed to crush their spirit. During transfers, prisoners are blindfolded, bent forward, and forced to shuffle in submission. Inside their cells, they are never allowed to rest on their beds during the day. Constant surveillance ensures there is no privacy, no comfort, and no moment of relief. The philosophy here is not reform but absolute control. Every rule is meant to remind inmates they have no power, no dignity, and no future. For the women trapped within its walls, Black Dolphin is not just a prison. It is a slow-motion descent into hopelessness, where the human spirit is systematically erased. Bangkok Women's Correctional Institution, Thailand, 1990s, present. Opened in the 1990s, the Bangkok Women's Correctional Institution was built to hold just 500 inmates. Today it is crammed with over 2,000 women, creating a suffocating nightmare of overcrowding and despair. Inside, basic healthcare is a luxury. Diseases, especially skin infections, spread unchecked in the tropical heat. Hygiene facilities are inadequate, with prisoners often denied clean water and proper sanitation. The extreme density of bodies in tiny cells turns daily life into a fight for air, space, and dignity. Perhaps most chilling is the so-called attitude adjustment program. Behind its polite name lies a brutal regimen of forced labor, harsh discipline, and physical punishment. Women speak of psychological torment designed to break their will. This prison is not about serving time. It is about enduring every hour under crushing heat, relentless fear, and the absence of hope. For the women trapped inside, survival is not measured in years, but in minutes endured. Valley State Prison, California, 1995, present. Valley State Prison, opened in 1995 in Chowchilla, California, was once one of the largest women's prisons in the United States. For years it held thousands of female inmates, many serving long sentences. But what was intended as a secure correctional facility quickly earned a reputation for corruption, violence, and despair. Reports surfaced of guards abusing their power, trading privileges or protection in exchange for favors. An underground black market thrived, where inmates with money or influence could buy access to basic needs while the poor suffered in silence. Allegations of sexual abuse by staff further darkened its reputation. In 2013, the prison was converted into a men's facility, but the scars of its history with female inmates remain. For the women once confined here, Valley State was not a place of rehabilitation. It was a vortex of fear and exploitation. Promises of reform drowned under corruption, leaving behind a legacy of trauma and mistrust. Rosie's Jail, Rikers Island, New York, 1930s, present. The Rose M. Singer Center, better known as Rosie's Jail, opened in the 1930s as part of New York's sprawling Rikers Island complex. Today it houses hundreds of female inmates and carries one of the darkest reputations in the U.S. prison system. Neglect and corruption define life here. Medical care is so inadequate that preventable deaths have occurred. Women with chronic illnesses or urgent needs often go untreated. Mental health care is nearly absent, leaving many inmates to suffer in silence. The result is a population teetering on the edge of despair. Violence is constant both between inmates and at the hands of staff. Rikers has been branded a gladiator school, where fights are routine and brutality becomes the rhythm of daily life. For female prisoners, the combination of neglect, untreated trauma, and constant danger creates an environment that feels less like incarceration and more like survival training. Alcalá de Guadera Prison, Spain, 1980s, present. Located near Seville, Alcalá de Guadera Prison became notorious from the 1980s onward for its shocking human rights violations. What was meant to be a correctional facility for women evolved into a place of overcrowding, abuse, and despair. Cells are suffocating, crammed far beyond capacity. Hygiene and sanitation are poor, turning everyday survival into a battle against disease and filth. Reports from former inmates and advocacy groups describe a chilling pattern. psychological abuse, physical mistreatment, and emotional torment. For many women, dignity is stripped away the moment they enter. The prison has also been criticized for inadequate legal protections. Some inmates endure long waits for trial or appeals, effectively trapped in a system that denies them both justice and freedom. Alcalá de Guadera is often described not as a rehabilitation center, but as a concrete coffin. Behind its walls, hope is buried under layers of neglect and cruelty. For the women held here, punishment extends far beyond their sentence. It becomes an endless struggle for humanity itself. Pedrinhas Women's Detention Center, Brazil, 1990s-present. In the 1990s, Brazil's Pedrinhas complex in São Luís, Maranhão, became one of the deadliest prison systems in the world. Its women's detention center is no exception. What should have been a secure facility for rehabilitation quickly spiraled into a nightmare defined by chaos, violence, and corruption. Overcrowding is extreme, with women crammed into filthy cells lacking proper sanitation. Violence is constant, often erupting without warning. Inmates live under the daily threat of assault, not only from other prisoners but also from those meant to guard them. Shocking reports claim that wardens have even placed bets on inmate deaths during riots, turning survival into a cruel lottery. Inside Pedrinhas, safety does not exist. Brutality is normalized and hope is nearly extinct. International watchdogs have condemned its conditions, yet change remains elusive. For the women imprisoned here, every day is a battle against fear, neglect, and the ever-present shadow of death. Pedrinhas is not just a prison. It is a symbol of systemic collapse, where the line between justice and cruelty has been completely erased. These 10 prisons expose the harshest realities faced by women behind bars: overcrowding, neglect, violence, and corruption. They stand as stark reminders of the failures within global prison systems. If you found this video informative, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more true crime and history content. Don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Which prison shocked you the most? Your engagement helps us bring more stories like this to light. Thank you for watching.